Mr. Investigator? I don't know his name, but Mr. Investigator?
Thompson.
No, not that witness. I'm not the person who's retrieving the witness.
Oh, okay.
He'll answer to it, dude.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Investigator in the back.
Yes, Judge.
Oh, you're still on hold? Mr. Clegg, you may resume.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Detective Thompson. He's a detective or investigator, by the way?
Detective.
Okay, thank you. At some point, a sketch was prepared pursuant to the investigation, correct?
Yes.
If I understood you correctly, you said that there were actually 3 sketches prepared because there were 3 different eyewitnesses, correct?
That's correct.
And at somewhere along the line, you took a look at all 3 and figured out one was the most appropriate one to disseminate or distribute to the public, correct?
That's correct.
I mean, may I approach you?
Yes, sir, you may. What number is this going to be, Mr.
This will be
Clegg?
Defendant's Exhibit number 21.
21. Thank you, sir.
So let me show you what has been marked for purposes of identification as Defendant's Exhibit number 21. Do you recognize what Defendant's Exhibit number 21 is, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and what is that, sir?
This is the sketch that we ended up publishing as the suspect of the homicide.
And did you subsequently attempt to distribute that to members of the community in the hopes of getting tips as to who might have committed this crime?
That's correct.
Was a copy provided to Andrea Sneiderman?
We showed Andrea the sketch before we disseminated it out to the public to see if she would recognize the person.
And at some point before it was distributed to the public, was she provided with a copy herself?
I don't remember if we provided her a copy or not.
Do you have any knowledge whether or not the sketch might have been distributed at Rusty's funeral?
I have no knowledge of that.
Fair enough, sir. Okay, now, the incident of November the 10th, you have talked about that being described by Andrea, correct?
November the 10th?
The guy sitting on the side of the house,
Oh,
laying
yes,
by
sir.
the gas meter or whatever. Okay. I just need to make sure I understand. The description you were getting from Andrea, was that based on Andrea's observations, or was that based on Rusty's observations?
That was based on Rusty's observations, what he told her.
Okay. So, as far as you understood, Andrea is not physically present on November the 10th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. It is Rusty who actually sees the individual, correct?
Correct.
It is Rusty who provides the description of the individual, correct?
Correct.
As you sit here today, do you now know the identity of the individual who was sitting near their house on November 10th of 2010?
I do.
Object.
1 second, 1 second. What's the objection?
Object. The question is based on hearsay. I think he's already said that this is information that one person relayed to another person.
Well, the way he phrased that question, I'm going to overrule that objection because he phrased it in the course of his investigation. I will allow him to answer it if he can.
Well,
I'm sorry, what's the objection?
Well, I think Judge said that he did not lay a proper foundation to be able to elicit the information he's trying to get from that question.
All right, I sustain that objection.
Okay.
Rephrase your question.
At some point during the investigation of this case by the District Attorney's Office and by the Dunwoody Police Department, did you become aware of certain statements made by an individual concerning the incident of November the 10th?
Well, just through the speaking to Andrea directly,
I'm sorry, speak up, sir.
just speaking to Andrea directly during the interview, she was relaying the information from Rusty.
Okay. I'm asking at some point during the course of your investigation and from your understanding of the District Attorney's investigation and from what was developed at court during the trial of Mr. Newman, was any information, did you become aware of any information as to the identity of the individual who was on the side of the house on November the 10th?
Oh, yes, after it was handed over to the DA's office.
Okay. And
After the case was handed over to the DA's office, through their investigation, we discovered the identity of the person who was beside the house.
I just didn't hear his answer.
okay. And who was it who was determined to be that person on the side of the house on November the 10th of 2010?
An objection.
What's the objection?
Again, Your Honor, not based on any of this detective's personal work, knowledge, or information would this question be able to be answered? I think he said it was after this information was turned over to the DA's office that he later learned some information, but that would be hearsay.
All right. Mr. Clegg, I'm going to sustain the objection. I'm going to let you continue to lay your foundation before you get to the ultimate question.
I will proceed with other questioning at this point, Your Honor. And, okay. Let me ask you this, sir. At some point, there is a beard on the individual depicted in, I believe, is that defense exhibit number 21?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did Andrea Sneiderman ever ask you whether or not it would be possible to remove the beard from the sketch?
Yes, she did.
When is it that she did that, sir?
When we showed her the picture before we released it to the media.
Okay. Was she told at or about that time, based on your recollection, whether or not this was a fake beard? Or was there eyewitnesses who described it as a fake beard?
No, I don't believe we told her that. I remember saying that we cannot remove the beard from the picture because that is not what witnesses saw, and we don't know what the physical structure is of the face underneath the beard.
So you didn't bring the subject of removing the beard from the sketch yourself. She's the one who brought the subject of removing the beard from the sketch, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And to your knowledge, in the course of the investigation during November of 2010, did Hemi Newman ever have a beard?
That I don't know.
Okay. Did he have, what was the beard color on that sketch? I realize it's black and white, but...
Well, it was... the impression was it's a black beard.
Did Hemi really color? You were in his presence, right?
Yeah.
But you have no idea at this point what color hair he had?
I have to look at the picture again. I want to say it was either pepper, black and white, black. If you want to be absolutely specific, I'd like to be fair and look at his picture.
Okay. Now, you indicated that Andrea allowed you guys, when I say you guys, the Dunwoody Police Department, to search her house on the, I guess, 21st, the day of the funeral, right?
Yes.
And that would have taken place while she and other members of her family were at the funeral, correct?
That's correct.
Did you actually participate in that particular search?
Yes, I did.
And how many detectives or officers or representatives of the Dunwoody Police Department actually participated in that search?
I remember myself and Sergeant Coralino was there. I don't think anybody else was there, but I have to look at my
And
notes.
you were looking for Rusty's wallet?
That's correct. That was the purpose of the search.
You did not find that wallet, right?
No, we did not.
Is the wallet one of the unsolved mysteries of the homicide case?
I mean, yeah, we don't know what happened to the wallet. We don't know why it's disappeared.
That means it's unsolved, I suppose, correct, sir?
I suppose.
Okay. Did Andrea, or did you ask permission from Andrea to be allowed to search her lake house out near Lake Oconee?
Yes, I believe it was during the 24th
Okay.
interview.
And did she sign a consent to search form in regards to that, sir?
Yes, she did.
We'll mark this as defense exhibit number 22.
You may.
May I approach him?
You may.
Detective Thompson, I'm going to show you a document marked as defendant's exhibit number 22. Do you recognize that document, sir?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize that document to be?
This is the consent to search form to search 162 West River Bend Drive in Eatonton, Georgia.
Was that obtained during the course of your actual interview with Andrea Sneiderman on November 24th of 2010?
Yes, it was.
And did you actually witness her signature on that document?
I did.
Was that lake house subsequently searched?
It was.
Did she accompany you on that search?
No, she did mention neighbors that were out there that could allow access to the house, and she didn't have a problem with us going out there to look in the house.
So her lake house was searched, her regular house was searched, Leslie's car was searched, correct?
Yes.
You did, with the, I guess it's Sergeant Cordellino, go over to her house on the 19th, right?
Yes.
And you have had, obviously, a chance to listen to the interview. Well, it's already been admitted into evidence, so I'll withdraw that question. You did interview her and a number of other folks, apparently, on the 19th, right?
Yes, she was the primary focus of the interview.
And that is, I believe, has been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit number 61. Your Honor, at this time, I would ask that State's Exhibit number 1 be played in its entirety to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
You may publish it.
Yes, ma'am, sure. Do you remember me? You doing okay? Good, okay. Yeah.
As far as the phone information is concerned, Detective Curtis Clifton is currently working on downloading that information. As soon as he gets it back up, he's going to come over here himself and deliver the information to you. Hopefully it's going to be done before we leave. Okay? Because I'm the one who told him, and that's what I was hoping to, but he didn't even get back to the office until about an hour and a half ago.
Those phone numbers we need.
And we're going to get those to you today. I can guarantee it's going to be here today, and Detective Clifton understands the urgency of getting that movie here. That's why he's going to try to get it here before we leave. If we leave and he's not here yet, we're going to call and find out what the delay is so we can all know before exactly what's going on. We went over initially everything that you guys did once you got back from the cruise. All right, went over that at the hospital. And we do have the information from that incident that you're talking about a week or 2 weeks ago with the person that was found laying down here. So we have all that information as well. I have spoken to the neighbor right here that saw the car. Okay. I don't know if it's related or not, but there was a car seen that was a silver minivan that drove by the house. It was yesterday. Yesterday?
8, 7, 8.
It was between 8:30 and 9:30 that he saw the car driving by the house. We have that on record, and we're looking into what he saw with that. Don't know if it's connected or not. It's just something that we have to make aware of. Yeah, the descriptions right now is of a silver or gray minivan or one of those work trucks that look like that, about the same size and shape as a minivan. With it, we have all 3 witnesses have come in. The third one right now is working with the forensic artist and creating the sketch. We're going to have 3 sketches by the time the third witness is done with this. And this is the Clifton right now. Yes, sir.
Please understand, we don't have any control of the media. Your brother was saying something about the media. I mean, this
Yeah, that's,
We're just hoping that everything we say to you remains with you.
okay.
we don't share it with the media.
Yeah, they just need to listen to the phone.
We don't go outside and tell them this is what we
That's
do.
cool.
I don't know where they get it. That's why we have to.
No, I don't think they've touched it since I talked to them.
It's an official with what we say.
It's still a mystery to me, to be honest, why they even knew who.
No, they need the phone numbers of those people that they need to call, yeah.
I know, but
It's not like, you know,
charge right now of getting that information. As soon as it's done, he's going to email it to me, I'll get it here, and I'll forward it to you. Okay?
This is Rusty Scott.
Oh, okay. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm sorry for the circumstances.
I'm going to take the business card with me, so I can call from Cleveland, because I'm not going to be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to have 3 composite sketches. We're going to have 3 composite sketches done today. When I left, the third one will probably be done in about an hour with that. When that sketch is done, I'm going to decide which sketch to make public. Have you heard of Crime Stoppers before? It's going to be a press release with the sketch, a description of the vehicle. It's going to be posted on Crime Stoppers. It's going to be posted on our website, MySpace, Twitter, all the social medias, and the press is going to get a copy of it. I can imagine that they're probably going to start trying to contact you guys again to talk. And whatever you guys can do whatever you were doing last night is great. So it's whatever you guys want to do. And if the media is not cooperating with you out here and getting off your property, I don't think there's an issue with calling 911 so we can have a supervisor come out to try to de-escalate the situation.
Should we consider posting a reward?
That's absolutely a consideration for you to take. By posting it on Crime Stoppers, there is anybody who calls in with a tip, whether it's anonymous or they give their information, they are eligible for up to a $2,000 reward if their information leads to an arrest. If you want to add to that, that's not a problem. You can let me or Sergeant Cordelino know exactly what you want to do with that, and we'll make sure that that information gets out to the correct resources so it can be made public. Okay? This is crazy.
We'll see about rewards.
It's awful. I know this is awful.
Nobody can process it. Nobody can process it.
It's not. That's not stupid. It's not stupid. When you guys were on the cruise, how long was the cruise?
4 days.
And who did you cruise with?
Marcel. Oh,
What company?
Royal Caribbean Navigator of the Seas.
Royal Caribbean Navigator? Did you go through a travel agent?
This is why I didn't want to do this.
I know this is awful. There's really no good time to talk about this. Okay, so you were on the Royal Caribbean Navigator. Did you go through a travel agency or through the Royal Caribbean itself?
Vacations to go.
Vacations to go? Did you travel with any friends? No? Did you meet anybody on the cruise that you hung out with?
Sure.
Do you remember what their names were?
Yes.
What were their names?
Her name was Diane Trump.
Diane Trump.
T-R-U-M-P. Her husband's name is Eric. She works for the Department of Defense.
Okay.
She just got back from Iraq.
Okay.
Editing documents for General briefings.
Okay. Does she...
We ate dinner with them every night.
Okay. And do they live here
They're in D.C.
They're in D.C.? Believe it or not, I can actually find her because my wife also works for the DOD, and she's up in
I
D.C.
mean, she's in some secret agency she couldn't tell you.
Okay. Was there anything else about Diane and Eric that you tell me about? How old were they? About?
Same her age. So she was 35, he was probably 37. We never discussed
Around the same age.
Same age. They have 3 children.
Was everything good with you guys? There were no arguments? You didn't see them fighting or anything? Did you have any disagreements with any people on any other vacationers or travelers on the boat? No? Okay. On any of the, what was what was the trip? Was it the Western Caribbean? Eastern Caribbean? Cabo?
Whatever that is.
It's in Mexico. It's Western Caribbean. It's our only stop. And I don't believe you got off the boat.
She has the answer, so he knows it comes from her.
Okay.
It must not be far, but
I know.
I need everything to come from her. Is actually you never got off the boat? Okay.
I've been there so many times, it's not working.
Okay. Just a second to relax.
Ship's quiet when everyone gets off.
I understand completely. My parents and I are taking a 10-day cruise at the end of the year, and I don't even know if I want to get off the boat myself. I completely understand that. Before the cruise, let's see, I'll call my calendar. You got back on Monday, correct?
Just wanted to remind you
Yes, ma'am.
that the incident with the air conditioner and the gentleman found lying next to the air conditioner occurred
The Wednesday
before I left on vacation. Sorry to...
It's okay. The officer that responded to that, I have spoken to him, and he's typed me up a nice report to include with this. And he's very familiar with that, and we've researched other stuff that has gone on with that. Okay, nice to meet you. I'm Detective Thompson.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Okay, so you left on that Thursday, the 11th?
dropped me,
Yeah, the baby cried.
dropped me off at school
Mm-hmm.
at about slightly before 8.
Okay. And you guys watched the kids while they were gone? And were the kids at your house or here? Here.
Wait. Thursday night and Friday night, they were here.
Okay.
Okay? Saturday morning, they went to Roswell to stay at my parents' house in Roswell.
Okay.
And Sunday night, they came back here because it's easier to get my daughter to school from here
Mm-hmm.
because she has to be out there, got out for a whole time in the morning of earliness. So they came here Sunday night and slept here. She went to school as normal and they got me and her from school. And then they picked up the kids actually because Rusty and I, the plane immediately got in on time at about 4:20, 4:30 on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But, there was traffic, there wasn't enough time. I wanted to get the kids that day.
Of course.
But they picked them up and, we just met them back here at the house.
Okay. While they were gone, did either of you notice anything unusual going on? Any strange cars parked in the neighborhood here or at your house?
No.
People that don't belong in the neighborhood or don't usually see the neighborhood? Nothing like that? Okay. Wednesday, the 10th, that's the day that the Hispanic male was found laying down outside. That was in the morning, I believe, it was 7, 8 in the morning,
8:30-ish,
8:30ish in the morning.
same routine. Rusty put me in the car. We happened to smell gas, right?
Okay.
Yes. Go out to the side of the house where the gas comes in, trying to identify the leak source, and there was nothing lying on the ground, face down and frozen. Thought he was sleeping, but then the person stood up and Rusty, I told you, he asked me 10 questions, just 2.
Mm-hmm.
One, he said, "Are you okay?" He asked this person, "Are you okay?" And 2, he said, "Are you supposed to be here?" Like you would ask a 2-year-old, "Are you supposed to be here?"
Right.
And there was no response.
Okay.
And Rusty got smart and ran to the car in the garage, backed up the driveway, and waited in the street and called 911.
Which direction you ran that way?
Well, no.
South.
So in between these houses here, you can get to Valley View area. There's a walking path that someone created over time between this cul-de-sac and the neighborhood on the other side, off of Valley View. And so as soon as, Rusty said it took a couple, who knows, seconds, but this gentleman ran across the front lawn and into that, and straight down the cul-de-sac, down that pathway.
You were already gone for the day? Were you gone?
Me? Oh yes, I was already at work. I take my daughter to school and I leave for work from there. This is what he called me, right after he called the police, he called me and told me to Maryland. And he explained the story. He was very shaken up. He said he would call me back once the police came. The police came. They did.
They did what they did.
And then he took me to school. They called they called the fire truck department because they wanted to see and make sure.
To make sure there's no gas leak in the area.
But there was a leak. And so called the gas company. Rusty waited for the gas. Ian was not with him. Must have taken Ian to school and come back. I don't know. And watched the gas guy fix this fixture that the gas guy says is very common now that they fall apart. They're seeing it happen all over as the weather's changing.
So we don't know what was damaged. We just think it was just needed to be replaced. He saw it and it needed to be
The
replaced.
gas guy said you should find out who that was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We can find out.
He said that this fixture is old and was badly manufactured, and they're having this problem in a lot of houses where this fixture isn't properly functioning. So no, he didn't think that the guy
Did something.
tampered with the gas line, but this is just everybody's speculation, right? However, the gas guy, when Rusty told him the story of the guy, he says that the guy was probably not just looking for a place to sleep, but was stealing copper from the air conditioner. And that unfortunately this is something that people do. And Rusty also had told me that when the guy was running to the cul-de-sac, see, Rusty's car was facing that way. And Rusty, as the guy was running, Rusty saw him grab to the small of his back. And was worried that he had done, but nothing ever came from that. Could have been a wrench, could have been that he was using a wrench to open up to get whatever parts it is he thought he was getting from the air conditioner. Okay, and that's basically the end.
What's the gas company you guys use?
Creative, yeah, whatever that is.
But Atlantic Gas is the one that does the installation.
I have no idea.
Atlantic Gas Company, when you have a leak, call Atlantic Gas Company. You guys should know.
And then that evening, we called the sergeant on duty. Rusty said he was worried for his safety. Or as the sergeant said, he would send a couple people, to scope the area during the night. That was it.
The water
Fingerprints for my air conditioner. I mean, can you get fingerprints off my air conditioner?
It's possible. It's possible. Did the other neighbors say, did they report anything else? Did the neighbors?
No. The neighbors didn't even know what happened. I don't talk to these neighbors. Not a chatty individual. I didn't go out that night and say, well, guess what happened? So no. And of course the people I've talked to about needed to leave the alarm on, you know, and I instructed her how to do that because I wanted when they were here, the kids to have the alarm on properly. Whatever.
It was also brought to my attention that at some point recently there was an issue with your garage doors.
Correct.
What happened with that?
The date I don't know because I can't remember, although my cousin Josh, who's here, has a log in his phone because I was talking to him on the phone at the time. And I had come down to the kitchen, and it was about 9:45 at night. I was in the kitchen, and I hear the garage door go up. I'm not expecting anyone. The only people with the code are these family members. So I panicked, and I ran upstairs. Rusty was upstairs talking to Josh on the phone. I ran upstairs. I screamed that the garage door was open, and we immediately pressed the on button on the alarm. Because that way the alarm would go off from the downstairs. But if someone opens the door for the garage, and nothing happened. No one came into the house.
Was it just one time that the garage door went on, or was it multiple
Just one.
times? Just one time? It's an electric garage door. What company is your garage door opener? Is it, you know, try if I take a look before I leave? Okay. Do you know if any of your neighbors have around that time had a new garage door system installed?
Don't know.
Okay.
But that was the assessment of the police was that since they looked all around the house, since they say there was no one around, that someone must have pressed the button and their code at that minute happened to match the random code things that happen in those doors and opened by mistake.
I'm going to find out when that report or when that incident happened. But they were talking about it, and I want to go around and ask your neighbors about that too. Okay. Discuss Wednesday, the 10th, strike mail.
Yeah, I think it was Wednesday, yes.
Tuesday the 9th, the day before that. What was going on? Can you remember? Let me rephrase the question. Was there anything different that day other than the normal routine? socially with Neil and his wife, or just Neil or just his wife? Or,
Yes. Yes, to all those kids.
okay. Was it a frequent? I mean, would Neil know you guys fairly well, or did you know Neil fairly well enough to call him a friend? Was it more of a business acquaintance?
Friend.
A friend? Same thing with his wife?
I don't know her as well as I know him.
Okay.
Yes, we've gotten together several times, but it's been for business functions and birthday parties. Like our daughter, they invited us, daughter's birthday party. She came to my daughter's birthday party.
Okay.
But it's not like I've sat down with her and had a heart-to-heart conversation
Right,
with her.
right. Okay.
So, I mean, I wouldn't consider her my like this biggest friend. I mean, that's not what I am with her, right? But we're friends because they're business partners. But Neil and I talk almost every other day on the phone because he's on the phone with Rusty, so we're poking fun and talking about the business and what I can do to help and all those things.
So he pretty much kept you in the fold of all of his business dealings.
Yes, all of them.
Did you pretty much know everything he was doing as well as he knew what he was doing?
As well as my husband?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. From what I understand, Rusty decided to stop working for a paycheck so he could focus solely on getting his own business started.
Not exactly.
Okay.
Rusty was fired from his last job.
Which job was that?
He worked at Discovery Point franchising.
And what was he fired for?
The bosses were assholes. They didn't like Rusty's ideas. They are old, crotchety people, and they didn't want to do what he wanted to run the business and be the best and make them be the best, and they're old and they didn't want to work, and it just didn't work out. And Rusty saw that as a business that he would take over and take and make big, and there's two people in their 60s and had no interest. They thought
business and we need to let you go.
we don't get along, we don't see eye to eye, goodbye. And they agreed to write some letters that he could collect unemployment. So I don't know what those, I don't remember exactly the wording of the letter. There was a resignation type let go. It was a weird thing because we wanted it to say something so that he could collect unemployment.
Right.
So he's been collecting unemployment since that time.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
March or April. March.
Last year?
This year.
This year.
Told me that he saw.
Yeah, I'll tell that. Thank you for reminding me that, yes. I don't know what day that was, but Neil would know because they were at lunch together. Anyways, that ended. Rusty then full-time decided to look for a business to buy. Yeah, first of all, their names are Cliff and Diane, owners of Discovery Point franchising. It's
Do you
very
know what their last names are?
Clark.
Clark. Okay.
Okay, anyways, he decided that we finally agreed that he can't work for anybody else. He's the type of guy that needs to do it for himself. still wanted to do this by his own business thing.
Right.
So he found a couple companies that were interesting. One in particular, this was a Motorola resale company.
Okay.
They sell with Motorola two-way radio.
So what
And they made it, he and a guy named Brian, a businessman here in Atlanta, who I'm sure you can call, and has been someone that's been guiding Rusty through the process of buying the business because he's bought his own film businesses in his lifetime.
So
Brian.
he was kind of mentoring him for
Yes.
Motorola resale.
That, and he was essentially promising to go in with Rusty on this deal and help him run this business. So they made an offer for this business eventually, and the company made an offer, and it sort of fizzled out, and that was the end of that.
Okay. Was there any money lost because of that? No?
No money was ever spent or saved.
Okay.
Lots of time.
Just time.
Where did they get the money to make the proposal for the business?
They don't know yet. They don't know
They
yet.
just said this is what we'll offer you.
Right,
And
it's
having-
market value of what they knew it was worth, and Brian and Rusty would, in about a day, would have figured out how to.
I was going to say, once they got accepted the proposal, what they've done,
They would have,
been going out looking for investors.
yes, and that would have taken about 30 seconds.
How much money do you think they proposed, do you know?
I'd have to look that up. Ask Brian. He'll know. I don't
Was it
remember.
$3 million?
Probably.
It was a lot of money to us.
Yeah.
It's not money, yeah.
Yeah, it was a combination, was going to be a combination of bank loans and some money of ours, but some money of Brian's, but then other investors, right? They would have made it work. They wouldn't have proposed at a level of a company unless they knew that they could back it up. You know, Rusty was only looking for companies with a certain value range.
He knew what he could handle.
Exactly.
What he couldn't. He couldn't
Correct.
go beyond that. But if he got accepted, he was going to be able to get this funding.
It just wasn't an issue.
That was
He's done it before.
Not much done before, but Rusty was in private wealth management.
Right.
He J.P. Morgan, he managed wealthy people's money. He knows a lot of wealthy people in Atlanta, and he was the CFO for some wealthy families here.
Okay.
Okay? And all of those people love him and would have given him money because of his work.
Was he doing accounting work? He's a CPA, right?
Yeah, but never accounted.
His license is up to date. Was he keeping his license?
He does, but only because teammates
Oh,
do
you're an
it.
accountant?
Except in December, I'm going to let my license lapse.
It's not something that
And he was asking me to keep it.
Rusty doesn't practice that.
Right,
He's
so
more
it's-
of a investment counselor, not investment like in the stock market, but he looks at wealthy people's portfolios and
Does he
says,
have SEC license for stock trading, things like that?
no, that's not the type of work he does.
No.
No, he says, you should save this much for your family, you should,
He's a financial advisor, someone that's traditional,
wealth
right?
management advisor, yes. It's very hard to explain. You call
No.
this wealthy families, they'll be able to explain it to you, and by much better than I ever will.
No, he's a financial advisor is what he is.
Yeah.
After the, did you have any other questions?
No.
After the Motorola venture,
Right, so after that didn't go through, Rusty decided, I'm going to pour my heart and soul into this thing with Neil. And he had been doing little bits, right, because he's unemployed, so he has time. So he was doing it in little bits, but never really full on, right?
okay. And this is when you decided to dive head first into
I gotta pick something, and I believe in it now, and the buzz is sort of getting better, and so I'm going in, and he and Neil and these other two gentlemen, which I know you have their names, they went full steam ahead. Sneiderman, Sneiderman, at yahoo.com.
to ask you questions, you know, and so we're going to have to delve into these businesses.
Fine.
And I want you to understand that we're going in every direction we possibly can on this.
It's fine. I totally understand. I want you to do that.
I know.
I want you to do that, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from in the sense that, and I'm sure everyone who's sitting on my side, well, I know not everyone says this, but I think you're barking up the wrong tree.
Okay, well,
Because this Mexican
As far as what?
the people that Rusty deals with and the way we do business is not what you're thinking.
okay.
And so, or not maybe what the movies have in it or what all this other shit is. I know, but I'm saying to you that I think, I'm not suggesting that this wasn't calculated in the sense that there was someone that knew where he was going and purposely shot him. I'm just telling you that the businesses he's been involved in, it's not, there's no one that he knows or has known that hasn't, that would want to kill him. No one. And so this man on the side of my house, yes, I could see that man wanting to kill Rusty because he saw his face and he was worried that something might get in trouble. I could see that. That makes sense to me. Do you understand? So that makes sense to me. I have no problem with you looking into all of this. That's lovely. You want to have 50 people looking into our business dealings? Great, because you know what? It kind of makes me feel better because Rusty's done such great work and done so many great things. You'll see that
No,
too.
I say that because this other stuff with the man outside, we're going to look into that, but we don't need you for that. Obviously, you gave us what
But
little you
are
know.
you having people look into that? I see you
We're
sitting
looking into
here, and I
everything.
want to help you, but I want to know that that other thing is being investigated with the same amount of
Energy.
Because if you're not, then I think you're barking up the wrong tree, and you're wasting time.
Okay.
So you understand where I'm coming from, yes?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I'm happy to give you all of this. I'm happy to find the bank account. I'm happy to show you money. I'm happy to do whatever.
What part of my job is for this investigation is I need to get to know you and your family
I understand.
like I'm a relative,
I understand.
basically.
I understand.
And I need part of my job is not only to investigate and find out who did this, but to be able to say, this person, you, completely innocent, and there is no reason why anybody needs to implicate you in anything regarding this. That's what this whole thing is. Until we're able to get a good piece of information to allow us to focus,
Great.
we have to investigate everything, the Hispanic male that was out here, the car that drove by, financial,
I just
all
want
that.
to make sure you're doing that.
Absolutely.
And not waiting for me to give you my financial information to wait to go do that other thing because that would be stupid.
Everything is being done at the same time, and it's critical that we get all the information as quickly as possible so we can start deciding on exactly how.
For business school, please, can you just tell me what's the house?
Exactly how we can focus the investigation.
This is,
Because your husband, I'm sorry, your family is a very prominent family.
well, I wouldn't go that far.
Very well known.
Well known, sure.
You're well known.
Well known. We like to think we would be well known, sure.
But we're finding out,
Rusty is well known, yes.
and he's very well liked. We're finding that out very quickly. He's very well liked.
Yep.
And we just need, when it comes time to make an arrest, the defense attorney is going to want to paint a very bad picture about his life.
Fine.
And-
Good luck to them, because
Right.
that's not going to happen.
Right, and we want to be able to counter anything he has to say.
Understood. I'm with you.
And I'm with you. So we're both on the same page with this. Although you're only seeing this part of it, there's a lot more stuff going on behind the scenes and everything else. In fact, we have Officer Barrett. I don't think he's ever responded out here, but he's our game officer. He knows a lot of the gangs, and he has a lot of good snitches and everything. And he's helping out. He's going to help out with anything with the Hispanic side. A lot of also having the Hispanic side of it is gang related at some level. So he's working with that aspect of it.
Can I say one more thing
Absolutely.
about the air conditioner situation? This person, again, had to know, they've been here
Right.
before, to know where this pathway was and to know that they couldn't run that way.
Right.
Running that way again, they probably would have killed themselves. I told him that. But all I'm trying to say is that he knew the neighborhood,
Right.
not just mine, but the area. In fact, one of the people that came suggested maybe he was a construction worker, because did you see there's houses being built right
Down
behind?
towards Vermac.
No, right behind me. Okay, on the Noreen. Or
Okay.
they just tore down and put a slab down for a brand new humongous house. I'm just telling you there is construction going on, and I just want you to know that someone suggested it must have been for when they thought he was just sleeping because he needed a place to sleep, that he was some construction worker who needed a place to sleep overnight. But again, the fact that he knew my house was here and that I had a new air, I'm just telling you.
Oh, absolutely, it's good information. And we're going to, that's important to know about this, about the cut through over here. That's very important to know, to make sure that Officer Barrett.
I mean, it could be that there's people over there that saw someone running, that you can ask the people in the other neighborhood. I have no idea.
Could we go back in his business dealings?
Yes, ma'am.
Just so you know that Rusty has worked in the investment and in the insurance business.
You're right, I tell the story. Fine.
Well, let's get back to Rusty's businesses.
So when we moved to Atlanta, let's start there. Because it's quite a history because my husband...
Well, we might be able to sum it up.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Easy. I think it's an easy question to let me know. Other than the Motorola thing that just didn't happen, have there been any other business ventures that he has been in any part of that has failed or not gone through?
Yes.
Okay, what are those?
Okay, so we're going to have to
Go back to,
create a timeline. You following me?
yeah, wherever you want to start.
So he had his Discovery Point job for about a year.
Okay,
Before that, he was unemployed again
okay,
because he had been fired from J.P. Morgan.
okay.
I'd have to look at the calendar to tell you when, but that's not the point. Before he worked for Discovery Point, he was unemployed again. He tried to start a business. He tried to start an insurance website business that connects insurance agents and gives them like a Facebook type thing that gives only insurance agents a way to...
Mr. Clay, the jury's asking for a break. Can you pause it? The jury's asking for a break. They've given me the signal. You will get a break when you give me a signal. If you don't give me a signal, you don't get a break. All right, it'll be 10 minutes. All rise.
Welcome back to 11 Alive's continuing coverage of the Andrea Sneiderman trial. I'm Jeff Hellinger along with defense attorney Will Smith, and we continue to hear the interaction between Andrea and also the Dunwoody Police Department. That has been the focus of most of the afternoon in the testimony that we have heard today.
And I think that what we just now heard, and we've heard this before, but we hear Sneiderman talking about the business ventures, talking about her concern that the police are only going to go after that and are not going to investigate this mysterious individual at the side of her house. I'm a little unsure on how both sides are going to spin this. I certainly think that the defense could look at this and say, look, she's obviously not protecting, Huey Newman, and as we see from here, she's not trying to protect anybody. she's pointing the finger at a direction away from these business ventures because she's genuinely concerned that the police are not going to go after somebody that she genuinely believes could have been involved. So I'm a little curious as to how either side is going to use this in the end.
You know, during our last break, I had mentioned the fact that if you email me a question or via Twitter, I would pass it along to Will. And let me do one real quick here. Ann Hale Smith has sent me an email in the last few minutes. This is directed to you, Will. I was very surprised that Judge Adams let Melanie White testify to hear all that hearsay from Emmy Newman. Is that a good issue to appeal if Andrea is convicted of anything? And also, doesn't it mean that Andrea will have to testify since only she can rebut what Emmy told Melanie White about their relationship?
It's a really good point, and it's part of a bigger defense strategy, I'm sure. You've got a table full of excellent defense attorneys who are aware that that was going to come up. So I would imagine that in the longer run, it's something that they could appeal. But it could also just be part of their defense strategy. And it may be that despite the fact that only she can rebut it, they're not going to put her up on the stand. I'd be very surprised if they do put her up on the stand.
We got another quick email here before we duck out for a moment here. John Zaccarini has sent me an email, and he was wondering if you believe that the DJ at the Pulse restaurant in Greenville, South Carolina, we heard the bartender yesterday in very exact detail talk about seeing both of them on the dance floor, wondering if the DJ from the Pulse restaurant will testify for the defense to dispute any of the bartender's testimony.
It depends on what the defense thinks he's going to say. Certainly, if it's going to dispute the testimony, I think it'd be obvious that, yeah, they'd put him up on the stand.
All right, we will continue. We have I'm going to guess we have about 5 minutes or so left in this break before Judge Adams comes back.